Let me begin with something that may surprise you. Aging is not a fixed, pre-programmed process. For decades, we believed that aging was simply the gradual wear and tear of the body and brain, a slow, inevitable decline that begins sometime around middle age. But over the past 20 years, an explosion of research from fields like neuroscience, epigenetics, and behavioral science has dramatically rewritten that story. What scientists have uncovered is both empowering and deeply practical. Many aspects of aging are profoundly modifiable by your daily habits. In fact, one groundbreaking study published in Nature Communications in 2021 estimated that up to 80% of biological aging can be influenced by behavior, lifestyle, and environment, not just genetic. Researchers like Dr. David Sinclair at Harvard, Dr. Elizabeth Blackburn, who won the Nobel Prize for her work on telomeres, and many others have shown that the choices we make each day can literally impact how our cells age, how our brains maintain cognitive sharpness, and how our bodies stay strong, resilient, and vibrant. Here's the critical truth. Chronological age is simply the number of years you've been alive. Biological age is how old your cells and systems actually function. And the gap between those two numbers can be surprisingly large depending on how you live. If you're over 50, this becomes even more crucial. This is the decade when many people begin to notice changes in strength, flexibility, memory, mood, sleep, and energy. But these aren't simply normal signs of getting older. More often, they are signals from the body that certain systems, like mitochondrial function, neuroplasticity, hormone regulation, and inflammation control, need targeted support. What's happening inside your body and brain is deeply fascinating. For example, your mitochondria, the tiny engines in your cells, start to produce less energy. Neuroplasticity, the brain's ability to adapt and form new connections, begins to slow. Inflammation, if left unchecked, quietly accelerates damage to tissues and organs. Hormonal shifts affect muscle mass, mood stability, and cognitive sharpness. But here's the good news and the heart of today's conversation. There are highly effective, scientifically validated habits that can slow and in some cases even reverse aspects of biological aging. In today's episode, we'll break down 6 golden habits, powerful daily practices that directly target these core biological processes. These aren't vague recommendations or fads. They are based on hard neuroscience, cellular biology, and clinical research. And most importantly, they are highly actionable. We'll explore topics like the one type of exercise that powerfully rewires your brain while preserving your muscles, a nutritional strategy that activates cellular repair pathways, the surprising role of deliberate light exposure in regulating hormones that keep you young, and a simple yet profound breathing protocol that can lower inflammation and improve cognitive function. These tools are not about perfection or overnight transformation. They are about compounding small, science-backed actions that produce extraordinary long-term benefits. As Dr. Huberman often says, small behaviors applied consistently can shift the entire trajectory of your health span. And so whether you're 50, 60, or 70, you're not too late. Your brain and body remain highly adaptive. The key is knowing where to intervene and how to begin. Let's dive into the first golden habit that helps keep you young, vibrant, and mentally sharp well beyond 50. Let's start with something that sits at the very center of staying young after 50, the brain's remarkable ability to rewire itself, what neuroscience calls neuroplasticity. For much of the 20th century, the scientific community believed that neuroplasticity was something exclusive to childhood. The thinking was simple. Young brains were malleable, while adult brains were more or less fixed. But that belief has been completely overturned by modern neuroscience. In fact, research by neuroscientists like Dr. Michael Merzenich, one of the pioneers of neuroplasticity, has demonstrated that the human brain retains a powerful capacity to change, adapt, and grow throughout life, even into the 60s, 70s, and beyond. What changes, however, is how we activate neuroplasticity as we age. Here's what the research shows. After 50, deliberate learning of new skills becomes one of the most powerful levers for keeping the brain young. You see, every time you engage in learning a novel skill, whether it's a new language, musical instrument, dance, or even complex motor task, you are stimulating multiple brain regions. The prefrontal cortex, which governs decision-making, the hippocampus, which manages memory formation, and the cerebellum, which coordinates movement and precision. These regions work together to lay down new neural pathways, strengthen synaptic connections, and promote the growth of new neurons, a process known as neurogenesis. For example, a study published in Frontiers in Aging Neuroscience, 2014, found that seniors who engaged in cognitively demanding skill acquisition, like digital photography and quilting, showed significant improvements in memory and executive function compared to control groups who performed more passive activities. But why does this matter so much for aging? Because many of the cognitive declines associated with aging, such as slower processing speed, memory lapses, or difficulty with multitasking, are largely tied to reductions in neuroplastic activity. By keeping neuroplasticity active, you're directly counteracting these declines. Now, here's the actionable part. The key to activating neuroplasticity after 50 is combining novelty with focused effort. Let me explain with a simple analogy. Think of your brain like a forest. The more you walk a certain path, the more defined it becomes. But if you never create new trails, large parts of the forest remain unexplored and overgrown. Novel learning creates those new pathways, keeping the entire forest vibrant and alive. A simple tool to apply is what I call the 90-day skill window. Every 90 days, commit to learning or improving one new skill. It can be as small as basic piano lessons, a new language app, or a new sport like pickleball or tai chi. Dedicate at least 20 to 30 minutes, 4 to 5 days a week, to this skill. Focus on challenging but achievable tasks, what neuroscientists call the optimal learning zone. This creates just enough difficulty to stimulate